In this video, we're going to look at inserting tempo changes and time signature changes into your song. Now, by default, these work at a static tempo that we set here. I've been working at 92 beats per minute. But I can click this to open a tempo track. Now, with this selected, we can use either the arrow tool or the drawing painting tool to paint in tempo changes. Now, we can resize this track if you want to work with greater vertical resolution. And let's say I want to insert a tempo change there. I'm going to just click and I've got an event there and I can drag it to where I want. And you'll see that there's a straight line, meaning that the tempo is going to ramp consistently between these two values. Now, if we want it to be non-linear and if we want to curve the line, there's a little grab tool here where we can use that to sort of change the shape of the tempo transition between the two events. And we can just click wherever we need and create events wherever we need. And of course, if we have snap-on, they'll conform, in this case, to bars, which is probably a good idea when you're working with tempo changes and events. Again, depending how you're working, but in most popular kinds of music, you want them happening on the bar where new sections are starting. Now, we can right-click in the time ruler, and we have some different options here. We can insert time signature events. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. But for now, I want to draw your attention to here, time base, and we have two modes here, time linear and beat linear. I'm going to leave this in bars for a moment, but watch what happens when we're in beat linear mode. As I do dramatic changes, you'll see that the scale of the timeline doesn't change, but the resolution within the regions do change. Now I'm going to right-click up here again, and I'm going to switch this to time linear, and we'll see that now this is compressing and expanding the data underneath with it, but it affects visually how these tempo changes are going to be represented. And this works when we're using the seconds time base as well. We'll see things stretch and compress where necessary when we're in the other mode, when we switch this to beat linear. So again, just visual representation of what's going on. Now, when we're working with tempo changes like this, it's important to have your audio tracks in time stretch mode. That way, audio events are going to be stretched dynamically to reflect any of these tempo changes on the fly, and there's no need to split or edit them. They'll just follow the tempo map. And we can easily do that, for example, on this guitar track here in the inspector, where we would set the time stretch mode to what we want, in this case, time stretch, if we're working with these kinds of changes. And finally, we can set the range for the tempo events within this vertical height here with the minimum and maximum fields. So right now we're working with a range of 69 to 109, but it's easy enough to change by clicking and dragging or double clicking and typing in a number. Now let's look at inserting time signature changes. I'm going to right click and I'm going to set the time base back to bars. And by doing that, I can now right click near bars and I have insert time signature where I can insert a numerator and denominator, and I can choose here from various values, and I click OK, and there it is, and I can drag it around if I need to. They obviously have to conform to exact bar downbeats in order for them to be effective, and I can double click and open it up and edit it if I need to, and still move and freely edit it like that. And to get rid of it, I can right click and go remove time signature. I'll see you for more in the next video.